All right, lessons learned from all kinds of storms. So grateful that it moved east of us, but southwestern Louisiana getting a very hard hit. All right, Blake, that storm moving out of that area and now heading towards the northeast, yeah?
That is correct, and it's weakening. We now have a tropical storm as of the very latest advisory from the National Hurricane Center. Those winds down to 70 miles an hour. That pales in comparison to what we saw in southwest Louisiana. Lake Charles, 132 miles an hour. That was before the wind gauge broke, so there's no telling how high the winds actually got there. Remember, the storm made landfall with estimated sustained winds of 150 miles an hour with gusts as high as 185. So certainly some higher winds were likely observed in southwest Louisiana, but that's the highest we could find. Officially, 127 in Cameron, 95 in Grand Lake, at the mouth of the Sabine River, 90 miles an hour. Port Arthur coming in at 73. I'll tell you, Beaumont, Port Arthur really dodged a cannonball with this particular system moving just to their east there. And remember, that weaker side is going to be on the left side of the eye, and that's exactly where they were. There's the storm right now, just getting ready to cross over into southern Arkansas. We've got winds of 70 miles an hour moving to the north at 15. That pressure up to 985 millibars. When compared to Hurricane Ike and Rita in the 1900 storm, all generally taking a similar path. But I'll tell you, Laura turned very hard at the last minute here, going almost due north straight into Lake Charles, really sparing most of our area hardly anything. I think 25 miles an hour might have been the strongest wind gust I could find across southeast Texas. Now let's talk about the verification from the National Hurricane Center. This is the cone 3.5 days out. This was Sunday morning at 11 o'clock, showing a southwest Louisiana landfall when the storm was still back over Hispaniola. This was the final landfall point. Doesn't get much better than that, folks. The National Hurricane Center is certainly the best at what they do, and that's certainly verified with this particular storm. So here it is right now, continuing to push up through northern Louisiana, just getting ready to cross over into southern Arkansas. On the backside of this, we're getting some dry air filtering in here. I think today is going to be a pretty nice day overall. Now, across the Atlantic, we are actually monitoring another system out here off the west coast of Africa. This one has a 20% chance of development. All in all, the tropics are fairly quiet, and that is certainly good news. As we take a look out over Galveston, again, a nice day there. Temperatures right now, we're holding at 91 degrees at Bush Airport, 91 in Tomball and Katy. So pretty typical for this time of year. The humidity nice and low, 52%, 53, 54, some 60s here in our coastal counties. Now, temperatures today are expected to warm up into those mid to upper 90s. We're cooling on down to about, say, those upper 70s to lower 80s as we head into the overnight hours tonight. And those temperatures move right back up close to 100 degrees in our northwest zones tomorrow. We're talking about mid to upper 90s here locally in the Houston area for tomorrow. Winds nice and calm out there, 5-10 miles an hour, not too shabby. As we take a look at the future track, mostly dry as we head into the afternoon today. Same for tomorrow, maybe a scattered afternoon shower as we get into your Friday afternoon, and then Saturday, another small chance of rain, I think. And then, but overall, not too bad for the weekend. Another chance of rain coming in on Monday. So as we take a look at the next couple of days, temperatures generally holding in the mid-90s, chance of rain 20-30% over the next couple of days. All in all, not too bad, Sherman. We could use a quiet few days.